This is the Peter Greenwood Show, and I'm sitting next to somebody who has a show here at the end of EdFringe where we are right now.
That's right.
That's a coincidence, isn't it?
I know, you wouldn't believe it.
I know, of all the things that happen in all the world, you had to cycle up into mine.
That's right.
I'm sorry, that was terrible. What is your show title, please?
It is Cadel Lungs on Legs.
What is Cadel Lungs on Legs?
It's about the true story of the first Australian to win the Tour de France live on stage, and I cycle live on stage for the whole show.
That sounds exhausting.
It is.
So, when you're on stage, what's it like having to perform a show and cycle? And was that something you thought about when you were putting the show together?
I really wanted to bring the authenticity of endurance sport to the stage, and to do this properly and tell the story of what cycling in the Tour de France is, I knew I had to ride flat out on stage and really do it. So for me, training was a big part of the preparation for this show. It's been about 7 months of intense training with some incredible coaches. So it's certainly a challenge, but also cyclists are very vocal. They're talking on the bike to the racers around them. They're screaming out to the team car. They're speaking to them. So speaking is a part of cycling, but certainly it's a challenge.
Now, for those who don't know much about cycling, like me, what is the Tour de France? Well, obviously, it's cycling, but what more is it?
It is the biggest endurance sporting event in the world. It's also the most popular sporting event watched globally every July. It's an incredibly big race and challenging one. It goes for 3 weeks in France and sometimes neighbouring countries, racing upwards of 150 kilometres a day on the bike through the mountains, known as the most difficult endurance sport in the world with the best athletes in the world. So it's the grand stage of all the tours in the world.
See, I look at a hill and I'm like, I don't even want to walk up that, let alone cycle up it.
Yes.
That seems tiring.
It sure is, and we're trying to bring that to the stage, and certainly I'm losing a lot of sweat on stage, but it's what it needs, and I think for the audiences and theatre people to understand what this sport is, the fusion is something we've worked really hard to bring.
And how did the story come together? And were you always going to be on the bike, or was that when did that come into it? What's its origin story, I guess?
Yeah. So that was definitely step one. So I grew up in my parents' bike shop in Perth, Australia, and was always an athlete and an actor. And at some point I had to decide. So I went down the acting route and now live in New York. And I've had, a really great career so far, but have never had my itch scratched about bringing my athlete background to the stage or screen. So I knew I really wanted to do an athlete story and do it properly, actually do the sport on stage. So someone said to me here at the Fringe last year, who's now my co-writer on the show, Steve McMahon from Edinburgh, he said, Connor, we're in an age where you have to just play yourself on stage. That is what people are interested in. It's what we're being pushed to do. And he was like, you are an athlete. Why have you not done an athlete play? I said, that's a great idea, Steve. And Cadel Evans changed my life as a kid, seeing an Australian win, the first and still only Australian to win the Tour de France in a European-dominated sport. And I said, I can do that. I can ride on stage every day at the Fringe.
Yeah. It's all great when you're having the ideas. Yeah, I'll ride the bike every day on the stage. What's going to go wrong? But it's not just that.
No, it's a lot more than that. And, Mark Barford, our director, has done such an incredible job of the fusion between theatre and sport, allowing me to ride and really sweat and spit and require the water bottles that we use on stage, but also there's some great theatre tricks in the show, and it's so theatrical and high stakes. We had an audience member the other day post on Instagram their heart rate in the show, and it was spiking. So it's funny. And I said, your heart rate was spiking. I can tell you mine is definitely spiking.
Yeah. You think that's bad? Hang on to your socks.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So who is Cadel? I don't know much.
Sure.
I don't know really anything about him. Who is he? Is he still with us?
Yes, he's in his 40s now and spending a lot of time with his family. He is Australia's most famous ever cyclist. I mean, he was the only one to win the Tour de France, but had a really complicated career. He had a lot of near misses. He came second twice. To come second in the Tour de France twice and then enter your 30s when most people age out of the sport, it looked like he might never win it. And he only came second due to really bad luck and due to injuries and a team that he didn't get along with. And he then became one of the oldest riders to ever win the Tour de France at 34. So it was an incredible achievement. But also as a man that is only really comfortable on the bike. And in my interactions with Cadel, speaking with him on Zoom and such, because he's traveling a lot around the world, he really comes alive as a human when he's on the bike. He can communicate really clearly with the bike and his brain on the bike when he's on the road, but otherwise he actually finds it quite difficult. He had an interesting relationship with the press. He didn't love interviews. He had an interesting relationship with his team. And found that quite frustrating. So we show all those kind of trials and tribulations on stage, and the final elation of actually winning. And I think in 2025 we need more stories about people that actually win.
It would be nice to see more winning happening in the world. Wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What was I hesitate to say, did he give you your blessing for this play? But what did you find out about him when you spoke to Cadel?
Yeah, I mean, getting his blessing was something I wanted right from the start, because obviously he's only in his 40s. It's not like this is a long time gone person. But I wanted his involvement because, yes, he has an autobiography, but it's with a ghostwriter as well that speaks in perhaps more poetic language, and I wanted it to sound like him. I think the relationship with the audience, and Steve, my co-writer, and I spoke about this, the relationship with the audience is the real Cadel. And then we see him writing, and we also see him with the press, which was a tainted relationship. So getting that time with Cadel, and he gave me a lot of text that's now in the play about things he said to himself on the bike. He talks, very active talker on the bike, and things that aren't in the media or aren't in books. So there's a lot of revelations in that way in the show.
Which sounds really fascinating. Like, is there... I know did you have to cut down the show to make it fit Fringe time? Because Fringe shows are kind of shorter than the average theatre show.
Yeah, I mean, knowing it was going to be at the Fringe to start, it was always the goal to get it to an hour. One man, one bike, 1 hour was kind of our initial constraint. But it feels right at an hour. This is about draft 13 or something of the show. And, for sure the first one was longer, but it was always with the goal of making it this length. And I think it's the perfect length for a one-person show. We go on a big arc in that time. We cover a lot of ground, literally. And, it was always the goal. Yeah, I had to. Sorry, I had to. Yeah.
Is it more difficult to do a show about somebody who is still alive? Because he is out there and he can say, no, it didn't happen this way, or no, I don't like that. Is it more difficult to do it like that, or would it be easier to do it if he wasn't here?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's good he is still here, of course. Don't get me wrong.
Yes, yeah. But a lot of pressure is the short answer. Yes. But to have the support, not only Cadel, but BMC, which was the bike brand that he rode in the winning tour and really changed his career. They were one of the first people to say yes as well. And, I'm wearing his actual kit that he wore in the tour. I'm riding the actual bike. So it's all authentic in that way. And to have their blessing, and to have, Wahoo, who are the big, warm-up sponsor of the Tour de France, is the best way to describe them, with their trainers. They've come on board. So to have the sporting backing has relieved the pressure, because right from the start I wanted to do this correctly and, prove to them that, yes, I'm actually in the right shape. I'm actually doing this and the sport justice. And Cadel was also one of the first pre-drug cheating era winners on the back of some terrible times for the sport. Cadel was a clean winner and the first kind of real clean tour. So we speak about that too, and kind of redeem cycling's narrative as a sport.
As an Australian fellow,
yes,
how important was Cadel to you growing up? Did you ever imagine yourself playing him?
Icon status is not an understatement. He is absolutely an Australian hero and is very shy about that. He was offered a public holiday named in his name by the Prime Minister when he was sitting in the bath on the final night of the Tour de France, and declined because he didn't believe he was worthy. So he's a very shy man. But he is national status, and it changed the game for Australians in cycling. There weren't many Australians riding the Tour de France at the time, and now there's an Australian team in the Tour de France, the JCO team. So really what Cadel did for the sport is it showed Australians you can make it on the global stage as a cyclist, and you can go teach those Europeans that we can come from down under and ride pretty well too.
What's it been like bringing the play to Edinburgh? Have you been enjoying that experience?
I mean, incredible. The Fringe is such an amazing festival, but you don't know how it's going to go, right? I mean, we're a team all based in New York. The whole creative team is Australian, which is a big thing that I wanted to bring to this show. Mark Barfoot, the director, is a really close collaborator of mine, and I knew he was the person, but also the sound designer, the lighting designer, all Australian. So it was incredible developing it in New York and doing workshops and such, but you never know once you're on the ground here how it's going to go. And getting here and to have sold out houses and, the 5-star reviews has been an overwhelming experience. Yeah,
and sold out a couple of nights, I understand, as well.
Yeah, we are. We're kind of on the roll now. So back to back yesterday and today, which is lovely. And it's just great for people to see it.
What is next for the show, Artivist? Because it sounds like you could as as somebody who has interviewed him, talked to him, you could write a book about Cadel. Is that something? Could you write a book of this show?
I mean, the plan is to take the show on, so that this isn't the end for this show at all. It's actually the start. So, London later this year is looking like something that is going to happen. And then, of course, it has to go to Australia, doesn't it? So an Australian tour.
Is that the Adelaide Fringe?
It'll go to Adelaide for sure. It's definitely going to start in Perth, where I'm from, which will be a really special moment. And it should go to where Cadel's from in the East Coast too. So 2026 has that on the cards. And then back to my other home of New York is also being floated at the moment. So I've got a lot more kilometres to ride over the next year.
I understand there's a New York Fringe as well.
Yes, and I've done that. I did that years ago, right out of drama school. It's funny because it's such a city of big commercialism, so you don't think of it as a fringe city.
Yeah.
But a lot really now, post-COVID, it's the off-Broadway scene, off-Broadway scene, and off-Broadway scene has become kind of the fringe. So the fringe is kind of dissipated in that way. But, I'm very involved in the off-Broadway community, and we all know each other in New York. It seems like a big city, but it's actually quite small.
And most of them end up here anyway.
That's right. I mean, we all want to create and see each other's work too.
Where can people find out more about you online? And if people see your show, should they message Cadel and say, hey, that was great? Because he sounds a very humble.
Yes, definitely a humble man, and for sure, I mean, getting the word out there. We had Phil Liggett, who's the voice of cycling commentator, in on the very first show here, and he kind of did this amazing post about how the show is spectacular and that I was Cadel, which is a really moving thing to experience. But you can find us, the play, at Cadel the Play, on every social media known to mankind, and then also I'm at Connor Delves on also every social media.
And that is Cadel, Cadel.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Thank you so much for your time today,
Thank
Connor.
you for having
Lovely
me.
to talk to you. My pleasure. Cadel Lungs on Legs is playing at Belly Lath at Underbelly at 1 o'clock in the afternoon every day until the 24th of August. For tickets, go to edfringe.com and search Cadel, Cadel. For the Peter Greenwood Show at the Edinburgh Fringe, I've been your host, Peter Greenwood. See you next time.